Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And today on screen we have a puzzle I am intrigued by. This is by a constructor called AFrayedKnot. I think you can see on the screen the spelling of that. Obviously sounds like something a bit different, but it's got an interesting story behind it. We had an email a few days ago from the constructor, the Dying Flutchman, basically saying that this puzzle is a complete masterpiece. It's been published on our Discord server, and anyway, Mark had a look at that email and decided he'd give it a go. And Mark he basically rang me up and said, I have to do this puzzle right now because it is apparently a complete work of genius. It sounds brilliant, doesn't it? So I'm gonna attempt it in a second. I'll read the rules in just a moment. Before I do that, please do have a look at our Kickstarter book. If you haven't had a look at it already, it's going to be the best Sudoku book of all time. I'm in no doubt about that, and you can read more about it on the screen if you follow that link. We have been looking at artwork, believe it or not, over the last couple of days, and we have one possible piece of artwork we'd like to include in the book, a sort of way of presenting the puzzles, and that's over on the Kickstarter now. So if you want to check that out, do have a look at it. If you do support the book, we will of course take your opinions on it into consideration. Also, I should mention a little bonus for those of you who sponsor the channel on Patreon. The Times Crossword Championship is coming up very soon. It's being run in a slightly different way this year because of COVID, and it's going to be an online event, which basically means they'll release 3 puzzles onto the internet, and it will be a race to see who can solve all 3 of them the fastest. So if you're a touch typist, you're at a massive advantage compared to Mark and me. Anyway, Mark is now in full practice mode, and he's recorded a solve of him solving 3 times crosswords as fast as he can. So if you want to see, frankly, genius at work, do have a look at that video. It is fairly impressive. Let's just leave it at that. Now, what are the rules for AFrayedKnot's puzzle? Let me read them to you. What we've got is normal Sudoku rules apply. Circled digits equal the sum of all digits on their attached arrow. So that's completely standard arrow rules. Digits may repeat on arrows. I mean, obviously, those squares can't have a repeated digit because they're all in the same box, but that digit could be the same as that digit, for example. And then finally, no 2 cells which are chess knights move apart may contain the same digit. So the way that works is, let's imagine that square is a 1, then 1, well, if the 1 was a chess knight, it could jump to all of these yellow cells. And therefore none of the yellow cells can contain the digit 1. You cannot have a digit separated a knight's move away from itself. So that's all the rules. Do have a go at this. I mean, this is a very rare thing that Mark gets this excited about a puzzle. So I'm looking forward to trying it. Let's get cracking and see how we do. If you want to have a go, of course, click the link under the video as usual. So you can see we've not been given... We've got 7 arrows, which is not a great deal, and 1 long arrow here. That's length 4. Oh, actually... okay, that's weird, isn't it? That looks like a long arrow to me, but it's actually the same length as that arrow. And that. So, in fact, these arrows are all of length 4. It's just the optical illusion that sort of makes them look like they're all of different lengths. So... Right, so let's look at this. You can see these 3 cells on this arrow are all in box 4, so they can't all contain the same digit. So the minimum I could make those yellow cells add up to would be 6. So the minimum that this cell can be would be 6 in this, plus if we put a 1 there, that would be 7. So this has to be at least 7. Whoopsie, that has to be at least 7. This one is the same, I think, because it's got 3 digits in column 7. So again, the minimum I could include on those 3 cells would be 1, 2, and 3. That's 6 plus 1. So this is 7, 8, and 9 as well. Those are separated by a knight's move. In fact, loads of things are separated by a knight's move. That's interesting. Look at these 4 cells. They are all a knight's move apart. So this square, this circle here, cannot be the same as those 2. And in fact, that one sees both of those And yeah, okay, so they all see each other really. Well, that one, this one here doesn't see that one. That's the only possible repeat. But these three have to all be different numbers. Anyway, I don't know what that means, sorry. This arrow is less powerful. That's annoying. Look, this one has 3 arrows in the same column. This one has 3 arrows, or 3 cells on arrows on the same box. This one doesn't. This could have repeated digits. It could have 2 repeated digits, and that means, look, we could do 1s and 2s, which is annoying because that means this can be a 6. So we are. If we'd have got this down to 7, we would have known these would have been a 7, 8, 9 triple, which would have been rather nice. But we can't. This one has to be at least 6 because all of these 3 cells are in the same line. This one, that's interesting. These 3 digits all have to be different as well because this cell sees that cell by the knight's move rule. So these are all different, so this has to be at least 6. Otherwise it would have been possible, you could have had, I guess, something like that, and this could have only added up to 4, but that is not possible here. This one must be at least 6. That one is only a 2-cell arrow, so I'm ignoring it. Sorry, 2-cell arrow, but yeah, you're not interesting at this point. Okay, so we've got lots of interesting communication. We've not got any digits. I tell you what we could do. There must be a 1 in one of those 3 cells, because otherwise this would be 2, 3, and 4 as a minimum. 2, 3, and 4 add up to 9, plus 1 is 10, and that would have to be a 10, and it can't be. So there must be a 1 in one of those 3 cells. Similarly there must be a 1 in one of those 3 cells. Sorry, I'm now a bit stuck. What are we meant to... I mean, I can see, or at least it feels like there is an awful lot of interrelationship between these 3 arrows, or these 3 circles and the arrows that they're on. Okay, yeah, here's something we can do with this arrow. These can't all be different digits, so although we know those are different, it's not also possible that this is a different digit, because if we did that, we'd have to have 1, 2, 3, and 4 along the arrow, and that would have to be a 10. So I know that there is a repeated digit on this run of on this arrow, and it must be this one. This must repeat. In fact, we can do better than that. This repeats with that one, exactly that one. That's interesting, because obviously these can't contain a repeated digit. They're all in the same box. So we know that the repeated digit is this one. This one sees that one by Sudoku, and it sees that by knight's move. So those 2 squares are the same. Which means, I'm going to colour this, because look, now we know that there is a purple cell in one of these 3 cells. And we might be able to do stuff with the knight's move here. Now, not quite, I don't think. No, okay, but that's... Can we do the same with this one? Yes, we can. Look, exactly the same logic. This cannot be 1, 2, 3, and 4, so it must have a repeated digit. The repeated digit has to be here this time, and this cell sees this by Sudoku and that by knight's move, so those 2 are repeated digits on this arrow. Now, yeah, look. There's a purple and a blue cell in box 5. So these can't be the same repeated digits. There are different repeated digits. And the blue, maybe the blues work better. There must be a blue in one of those 3. And a blue in one of those 3. Okay. Now let's try the same on this one. This is no good. This is no good because this can have 2 repeated digits on it. we've already looked at this, that, you know, you could have 1, 2 there and then 1, 2 there. And although if this is a repeated digit, it would have to repeat with that cell, because it can't repeat with this one. That's a knight's move away. So you could have repeated digits there and there, and or here and here. This one obviously sees that cell, so it would have to repeat there. So, that's annoying. I would love to be able to eliminate, if we can eliminate 6 from this cell. Oh yeah, you can. Right, okay, look. If this, the only way this can be 6 is with 1s and 2s repeating, but the problem with that is for this arrow. It's not for this arrow, it's for this arrow. This would have to be a minimum of 3 and 4. Because if these cells can't be 1 and 2, they have to be 3 and 4. But these are in the same line, so they would have to be a minimum of 1 and 2, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So actually, we can say that this one cannot be 6. And if it can't be 6, we now have this triple going on, which definitely feels to me like it's intended. Now, so this, sorry, I'm just trying to get my head around what this means. Maybe I have to do the same thing here. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, it breaks, obviously. So that we know that there is at least one repeated... yeah, okay. All right. So there's at least one repeated digit along this arrow. Let's ask, could there be 2 repeated digits? Now, all I need to do to reject that hypothesis is to... All right, I need to look at this. I can't quite see it, but what I'm thinking is if this yeah, I can do it. Right, okay, look. Sorry, I'm not being very articulate. I'm now going to be articulate. Here we go with articulation. So, if those 2 squares repeat each other, let's look at that. So let's imagine these 2 squares are the same digit. Now, the critical thing, I think, is that this green digit, whatever it is, cannot be pink or purple, and it cannot be blue. Now, why is that? Well, it's because this square sees both of those things, so it can't obviously be the same digit. So, if green repeats, if green repeats, it would have to be a different repeated digit to purple or blue. Now, what about if this repeats? What about if those 2 squares repeat? If these 2 squares repeat, this one sees purple, this one sees blue. So again, we would have another different digit to purple or blue. Now obviously, this orange can't equal green because they're in the same line with each other. So now we'd have 4 different repeated digits along these arrows. How is that ever possible? Because if, for example, if I put 1 on this one and 2 on this one, now these have to be different digits, so I could put 3 here and 4 here, but that is never going to work. You can never have a repeated 4 on any of these because they're all 4 cells long. And if I have a repeated 4 and I put the minimum in the other 2 cells, I will get at least to 10, which is impossible. So I don't think... now this is useful. This is definitely useful, but I don't actually know if I can do anything with it. Which I know is perhaps... No, that's not quite what I meant. But what I mean is that I've now convinced myself that there is only 1 repeated digit in these yellow squares. There cannot be 2. And that repeat, but the problem is I don't know where it is. It could be those 2, it could be those 2. But whichever it is, it is a different repeated digit to these ones. And we know it can't be a 4. I'm getting somewhere here. I am getting somewhere. So now, the repeated digits that are purple, blue, and whatever repeats on this one have to be 1s, 2s, and 3s, because you can never repeat a 4 on on an arrow of length 4. So if we've definitely got a repeated 3 in one of these positions, I'm just going to put this one in. I don't know which one of these is repeated. It's either these two, or these two. But I just need to think about this. So if we have a repeated 3, yeah, whichever one of these is the repeated 3 is associated with the 9, because it will have to be 2 3s plus a 1 and a 2. That's all it can be, which doesn't matter which of these circles is the 9. It must have, well, no, put it a different way. It doesn't matter which of these circles contains the duplicated 3, that circle must be a 9. Now, does it work the same way with the 2s then? Does the 2 have to be the 8? Yeah, it does. Yeah, because you can't have a third 2. So, yeah, so whichever one is the 2 has to be associated with a 1 and a 3. I don't know what the order of this is. This is just for exposition. So in this iteration, that would be a 9. This would be an 8. This we know would have to be a different digit. Would have to be a 7. We know the repeated digit would have to be the 1. And we can't have another 1, so we'd have to have a 2 and a 3. So actually, that actually would work. I can't see immediately why that's broken. But, okay, obviously the problem with all of this is that we don't know which is the 9, we don't know which is the 8, we don't know which is the 7, but we do now know what the repeated digit is on each of those arrows. And I don't even know in this one whether these are the repeated digits or these are. So there's a lot I don't know, but there's a lot I'm finding out as well. And I apologise if I'm missing something straightforward here. But I could be. Now, this is good though. This is good because I can go further than this. Because now I know there is no 4 ever on any of these arrows. Because I know exactly how the 9 composition must be made up. I know exactly how the 8 composition must be made up. And I know exactly how the 7 composition must be made up. These arrows all contain the digits 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Well, that's a little bit interesting. I mean, look, for example, this square now has to be higher than 4. That one has to be higher than 4. Or not higher than 4, it has to be at least 4. Actually, this one is better than that one because this is a 3-cell arrow. So this square has to be a 4, 5, or a 6. It can't be higher than 6 because the minimum I could make those two squares would be 3. That is, in fact, these now have to be 1, 2, or 3 because once this is at least 4, you can't have another 4 on the line, or you will. Well, you can't obviously have another 4 in here because it will repeat 4 in the box. And if you put 5 with it, you're going to get to 10. So these are 1, 2, or 3. This square as well. Oh, this is getting very interesting. Look, this square has to be at least 4 for exactly the same reason. And this is a 3-cell arrow. And again, I can't now repeat I can't have another 4 or a 5 in these two squares. So these are 1, 2, and 3. That gives me a 1, 2, 3 triple in this box. No. Oh my God. No. Look, it does more than that. This little funny arrow here is seen by this 1, 2, 3 triple. So this has to be at least a 4. And we know all of these are different digits. So again, I've got to go 1, 2 and 3 in those two cells. And now I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple up here. Oh, good grief. No, look. There are all sorts of things going on in this puzzle now. So something I've just noticed is that this square has to be a 1, 2 or a 3, and it's not purple and it's not blue. So this has to be the green digit, whatever green turns out to be. Now, I'm going to delete the greens from there because I need to work out which of these is the repeated digit. But if this is green... Ah, look, if this is green, this is purple. So this is green. Oh, look. What colour is that? Well, the answer is it can't be blue, because that's blue. It can't be purple, so it has to be green. And once we know this is green, we know it's the repeated digit, and therefore it has to have a friend there. And now this square can't be purple. We know these are blue and purple now. So this is purple, this is blue. This has to be purple because it sees a green and a blue. Look, we've got purple, purple. That's a night square away from a purple. So where does the purple go in those 3 squares? It must go at the top. This square sees green and purple, so it's blue. Look, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. This blue sees both of those squares. This one by night's move, that one's in its column, so that's got to be blue. And that's therefore got to be purple because there's a green in its column. This therefore has to be green. Look, where does purple go in those 3 squares? It can't go in this column, so it must go here. We have now done all the purples. We don't know what purple is. We don't know whether it's 1, 2 or 3, but we now know whichever it is, it appears in those squares in this grid. That is absolutely beautiful. Blue must go here, because blue cannot be 7, 8 or 9. Blue must be in one of these 2. Okay, well we can see therefore it must be in this one. Blue can't be in a circle, because even if it was 3, that would make those 2 have to be 1 and 2, and more importantly, one of them would have to be purple, which it can't be. So this is blue. Where does blue go in box 7? It doesn't go there, it doesn't go there, it doesn't go there. That's a knight's move away, so it's got to go here. That means this... that square's green. We could have done that before. That square's blue. Green has got to find a home in the middle here, and it can't be there, so green goes here. Have we done all of... So, I've done all purple. I think I've done all blue as well. So I've just got green. Can I do all the greens? Well, that can't be green. That can't be green. That can't be green. So green goes there, and we get a sort of... a flag shape down here, blue, green and purple. And now that square is green. So now we've actually managed to position in this grid all of the 1s, 2s and 3s, even though we haven't got a clue what they are. I love that. I don't know about you guys. I absolutely love that. Now, the challenge, I suppose, is to understand how this allows us to solve the puzzle. This square can't be 6 anymore, can it? because the minimum I can now make those add up to is 7. So that has got to be removed. Now, that's interesting straight away, because we know that whatever this is, it cannot reappear in those two. We know that this was a triple on 7, 8 and 9. So these two squares now are the same colour. These must be the same. So perhaps we have to go about the grid highlighting all the 7s, 8s and 9s now. This square can't be a 6 because it has a 4 on its arrow. Same is true of that one. So, so maybe I have to colour these two in different colours. So I will make that one, what shall I make it? Decisions. These are the things. I don't really like orange. Maybe I'll make it yellow. If I make it grey, I'm worried that it does. It makes the thing disappear. So I'll make that one orange. Okay. So we're going to have yellow, orange and red for the 7s, 8s and 9s. Oh, okay. So look, where does... Yeah, this is quite cool. The central box now, whatever this is, let's imagine this was a 7, just for the sake of exposition. This now would have to be an 8-9 pair. And where would that 8-9 pair have to go in box 5? It would have to go in those two squares, because we know that everything else is a low digit. So these two squares are 7s, 8s and 9s, but we don't know whether they are yellow or red, do we? Well, maybe we do, but I don't think I know. I can't see how to tell. No, I can't see how to do that. Right, what am I meant to do now then? I don't think we know enough about... We don't have enough 7s, 8s and 9s in the grid to... I mean... And apologies if you guys are seeing something here that I'm not, but... Can we use any of these arrows? So this one is equal to... Oh no, hang on, I've got an idea. I could... Yeah, oh, yes. Yes. Red. These two cells have the same total, but they both include a purple and a blue. Look, purple, blue. So the sum of the two greens must be the same as whatever I put in this square. Now, that's interesting, because if the sum of these two greens is equal to the sum of this, well, equal to this square must be even. So it can't be 5. And there, and now, if we know that basically whatever I put in the green, so 2 lots of green is equal to that, you can't, obviously, green cannot be 1 anymore, because it has to equal 4 or 6. So green now is not 1. That's not 1. That's not 1. Can we do any more with that? Yeah, oh no, yes we can. We can. Because if this is 2 2s, 1 and 3 would make 8. If it's 2 3s, it has to be 9 with 1 and 2. So this is not 7. Once we know the repeated digit is 2 or 3, it must be associated with 8 or 9. So, okay. So that means that one's not 7. So this is 8 or 9. But I still don't know how to... Oh, hang on. Look, I've got a 4, 5, 6 triple in box 5. I've got 7, 8, 9 there and a 1, 2, 3 there. I didn't think of the green as being a 2 or a 3, which maybe I should put it in so it's a bit clearer. Put some digits into these coloured squares. So now look at box 5. You can see those have to be 4, 5 and 6. Ah, got something. Right, these are 4, 5 and 6. Now, if you've done a lot of Knights Move Sudoku, you will know that when you get these triples in the middle of boxes like this, you should always look at those two squares. Because what can they not be anymore? And the answer is 4, 5 and 6. If that's a 4, it rules 4 out of all of those positions, so it can't be. The same is true, obviously, for 5 and 6 in these two cells. And that is beautiful, because that means what can these two yellow squares be? They can't be 1, 2 and 3. There's 1s, 2s and 3s in their boxes, and they can't be 4, 5 and 6. So they are 7, 8 and 9. And that now I might be able to do better colouring, because I can see that one straight away has to be yellow because it can't be orange or red. So that one's red, which means it's not 7. This is 8 or 9. Now all I've got to do, oh, look. Ah, yeah, okay, look. Where does red go in this box? It can't go in those squares. It can't go in this position because 8 plus 2 would be 10. So this square is red, and it must therefore be 8 or 9. Now, oh, beautiful. Now do Sudoku on the red in this box. It can't be red here because that's a knight's move away. So this is red, and this is 8 or 9. Now this is great, because now this one can't be red, so this must be red. And that's 8 or 9, which means this one must be yellow. Red must go here by Sudoku. Red could be in either of those two cells. Yellow is in one of those two cells, I think. Yellow is in one of these two cells. We haven't done very well with orange, actually. Okay. Ah. Oh no. Oh yeah. Where does red go in this box? Oh, that is red. It was highlighted. I had it. It made it look yellow. Sorry. That's no use at all. So red must be in one of these two, and red over here must be in one of those two. I think we're done with reds, unless I can get one of these two cells disambiguated using something else. So how am I going to do that? I will have to... Oh, I know how I can do that. Simply, what's that one? That's got red and yellow in its box, so that's orange. That means there's an orange in one of those. There's an orange in one of these two. That can't be orange because it's... Oh, this is getting really complicated. But that's still good. Yeah, let's actually follow that chain through. This is orange, so the orange in this box is in one of those two cells. That means that orange in box 2 can't be here because of this orange, and it can't be here. So the orange in box 2 is in exactly one of those two positions. Now look, orange is in one of those, orange here, this must be orange. So that's a 7, 8 or a 9. Ah, look at this orange. Where does orange go in box 9? This square is gorgeous. It rules out those three and that one. So it can only go there. That's got to be orange. Now this must be orange. Oh. Nearly. That can't be orange. So there must be an orange in one of those two. Ah, that's interesting. There must be an orange in one of these two, and there must be an orange in one of those two. Now they are in the same columns of the grid. So the orange in column 3 has got to be in one of those two cells. Okay. So is that useful? It probably is useful. I just can't quite see how. I don't really even know how to notate this. I'm running out of colours, and that square's got to be a 4, 5 or a 6. I can see that just looking along this row. How long have I had? 36 minutes. That's quite a long time, but this is not easy. At least not for me. Can I use this arrow? Oh, good grief. Oh, this has been here for a while. Sorry. Look, we've looked at this already. If this is a 9, what is the repeated digit in these two squares? We know it's got to be 3. Well, so that means a 3 here would be associated with a 9 here, and this would be a 6. But in exactly the same way, what would happen if this is a repeated 2? We know that 2 has to be associated with an 8 here. So this square is always 6, whether this is 2 or whether it's 3, it doesn't matter, because the relationship between the green and the red is always sort of constant. So sorry, I should have seen that the moment I got these two, but I didn't. But that's still, let's forgive me, because that does give me that cell. That's a 4 now. Now, that means that's not 4. So this square's got to be a 5 or a 6. This is really interesting, look. Whatever this square is, it won't be in those two squares. So this square is also, therefore, the same as this one. And therefore, by Sudoku, the same as that one. So those 3 squares are all the same colour. Therefore, that's not a 4, 5 or a 6. Sorry, it's not a 4. It is a 5 or a 6. Now, what do we do now? Oh, yes, I can do something. This, can red be 9? If red is 9, what do these two squares have to be? If red is 9, these have to be a 2, 3 pair, which they can't be because this is a 2 or a 3. There must be a 1 in these two squares. And once there's a 1, this has to be 8. And once it's 8, all of the reds have to be 8. They are all 8. And this is a 1, 3 pair, therefore. And therefore this is a 2. So now we get the 2 over there, of course. So green is now 2. We can fill in all of the greens. And so actually, this puzzle could become a bit more straightforward now, because I could find myself able to fill in huge swathes of it quite quickly. Now 8s must go there. 8s must go in one of those two. I shouldn't have said that, should I? I'm now going to come a cropper and it's going to all stop. You can remove 2, I suppose, from everything else. I should maybe do that. That's a bit tedious, but I will do it. Oh, yeah, look. This one, this arrow now comes to our rescue. Can this be a 3? If this is a 3, that's a 5, and this is a 10. So purple is a 1, and we get all the 1s done. Now, Now blue must be 3 because we've not found a 3 yet. So all of those get done. And suddenly we might be able... Yeah, look, this arrow now. What is this arrow? It's got a 2 and a 3 on it. So the minimum I can make, I need this to be a minimum in order to keep this down to a single digit number. So orange has now become a 9. Which means yellow must be a 7. This is just a work of art, isn't it? This puzzle is a work of art. That can't be a 9 anymore. Therefore, this can't be a 6. So that's a 5. Therefore, this is an 8. So we don't know. I suppose I can make that red, therefore. So that was, which means that one's red and that one's an 8. Remove the pencil mark, remove the pencil mark. And okay. So this is a 5 or a 6. Now, have I actually done all of my arrows now? I think I might have done. I think I have. In which case, this should just be a Sudoku with a knight's move constraint. I say just be. So this is 4, 6, and 7. I don't know how to do that. This one is 5, 6, and 7. That's not a 6. This is useful. If 6 is in those squares, and it is, it can't be here because it's a knight's move away from that. So this becomes a 6. That finishes, well, it doesn't finish, but it means those two down there are a 4, 5, and there's a 5 here. So this is not 5. That's 4, 5. That's not 4 anymore. That's not 4 anymore because of the knight's move. This is a 4. Oh, look, there's a 5, 6 pair in this row. So this must be a 4, 7 pair. Don't think I can see anything a knight's move away from that. These two squares have got to be 6 and 7. These three squares have got to be 4, 5, and 9. That's not 9. That's not 4. That's not 4 either, look, because of this 4 here. That means that one must be 4, which I will accept with gratitude. There must be a 4 in one of those two cells. Now, what next? Maybe those two? 5, 6, and 9. That does not look useful. I mean, I'll fill them in, but I don't think that's helpful at all. Oh, I think I'm now missing something fairly straightforward, because otherwise this is going to be an absolute brute to finish. Oh, look, yes, I am. 9's here and here. I mean, that can't be a 9. So we get a 9 there. I should colour it in, make myself feel cleverer. Now 9 is here, look, so let's colour that one in. 9 cannot go, oh, yeah, 9 can't go there because it's a knight's move away. It can't go there because there's a 9 here, so this is a 9. Colour it in. That's a 5. That's a 4. That's a 9. Colour it in. That's a 7. That's a 7 by Sudoku. These squares are 4 and 5. Yeah, the 4 is seeing that square. So these squares are 4 and 5. The 7 is seeing the 7 and the 4 down there. That must be a 7 and a 4, therefore. These two squares have got to be 5 and 6. Surely something must be seeing one of these, I'm sure. And how about the 6s and 6 and 7s are easy. So the 7 and 6 gets resolved. And now there's just going to be one pesky 5 or one pesky 6. There it is. That 6 is seeing that square. And I think now we are going to be able to solve the puzzle. And what a puzzle this is. I mean, it is very, well, it's very common on Cracking the Cryptic that we are faced with puzzles that are extraordinarily clever. But this really is extraordinarily clever. I mean, absolutely stunning. And I think I've got it right. And how pretty is it as well? And I know now I must put the 7s in, otherwise people will get cross. So let's make those yellow. And I should just, I've got 6s in grey as well, so I'll do the 6s too, just so that everything's in order. So it's just 4s and 5s I've not filled in, I think. But AFrayedKnot, that is some debut. That is some debut. An absolutely startlingly brilliant puzzle. I absolutely loved it. And thanks actually to Mark for insisting I did it. I hope you enjoyed watching me solve it. I hope you managed to get through it. I really hope so, because I'm really looking forward to the comments. And we'll be back later, of course, with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.